Dear cynics and romantics, my name is Monice, and you are listening to the Romantic Cynic podcast. On this episode, I wanted to talk about respect in a relationship, a healthy relationship. So I hope you join me on today's episode, where we might mix in some laughter, maybe some tears, romance, and of course, some cynicism. Welcome to episode 36. Respect is a vital component, in my opinion, to a healthy relationships. Partners are going to agree, and they may agree on things or disagree on other things, but they should still maintain respect for one another. When someone in the relationship disregards, belittles their partner's feelings, interests, or beliefs, then the relationship ends up suffering because of it. Early in everyone's relationship, there should be some type of conversation around respect. And a lot of this stuff I kind of talk about, especially in a positive manner, are things that I've learned in my current relationship. These are things that never existed. Never did I think that I would have to have a conversation about respect in previous relationships because one, there were the relationships I had in my 20s, so therefore I wasn't exactly keen on what a healthy relationship should look like. But back to, having that honest conversation about respect in your relationship, what it means to you and what it means to your partner, beyond these kind of very basic levels of respect. Each of you may have a different idea of what respect looks like. So when you establish the foundation of respect, it could be as simple as, hey, cleaning up after yourself if you prepare yourself a meal, or, listening, engaging in conversation if I'm talking to you and not paying attention to your phone or not playing a video game, things like that. Like if you engage in little things like that, or you set your boundaries of what you believe is respectful in a relationship and vice versa, and being able to honor those things consistently really strengthens the respect in the relationship, but it also strengthens the commitment and love that you have for one another. And I think it's important to ask some questions like, what does respect mean to you? What is your definition of respect? What are your boundaries? Do you feel comfortable? How comfortable do you feel opening up to your partner? And how comfortable does your partner feel opening up to you? If there is a moment of disrespect, ask, ask this out, ask the question, like, what happens if your partner's disrespectful? Like, how do you handle it individually, and how do you handle it as a couple? What are some things that are completely non-negotiable? Some non-negotiables are like, hey, you can't be liking guys' pictures on Instagram, or you should not be talking, or you cannot be talking to girls in your DMs. Set some basic boundaries, because I think basic boundaries are very important. Like a big one for respect is just being honest, no matter what that looks like. Being honest, even if it potentially hurts your partner, it's better to be honest up front about something versus hiding it and lying, because the more you hide, the more you lie, the less respect you're showing your partner. And at the end of the day, let's just call it how it is. Lies and hiding things always come to light. They always do, no matter if it's a day from now or 6 or 10 years from now, they always come to light. And when those things happen, especially if these are long, drawn out moments of hiding and lying to your partner, the relationship, it's going to make it worse in the relationship, and it might make it to a point where it's unfixable. Like the relationship is so damaged by years of lies that it will no longer be a relationship. So having respect for your partner is critically important, or at least setting those boundaries up front. You know, showing your partner respect. So what does that look like? How you treat your partner in behaviors, being positive, listening to your partner's feelings, honoring their boundaries, supporting their passions. That is a huge one for me. Supporting your partner's passions is such a big indication of how much love and how much respect and how you honor your partner are, in my opinion, are really pillars of the level of respect that you show in your relationship to your partner. They could have the most in your opinion, they can have the most ridiculous passion of, maybe you are kind of a snob a little bit, and you kind of turn your nose up to someone that plays video games, but they love playing video games. It's their escape. Sometimes we just have to have something that we escape mentally from, or mentally to, excuse me, because, maybe work is draining, or maybe family's driving us crazy, or maybe the kids are driving, us a little nuts. So things like that, but it's something they're critically passionate about. So you should respect and be mindful of not talking down or not saying, hey, that's stupid. Not using negative words to make them feel a negative way because they are very passionate about something doesn't show your partner respect. And again, resentment ends up popping up a lot. Resentment and respect go hand in hand. One's the negative, one's the positive. And once resentment sits into a relationship, the relationship is pretty much, unfortunately, in my opinion, over. But, being supportive of their passions and not scoffing and laughing and belittling what they're passionate about. Talking kindly about them to other people, I think, is another positive way to show respect to your partner. If you have a problem with your partner, or if they did something that you don't like, the moment you turn to other people, maybe it's a colleague at work, maybe it's someone who's kind of a pseudo friend, or, you will tell anyone who's willing to listen to you. All those things is so disrespectful to your partner, because you're not going to your partner and talking to them. You are seeking validation from other people outside of your relationship so you feel better about the situation versus going to your partner. So speaking kindly about them around others, or if you have nothing nice to say about your partner at all, don't say anything to other people. It doesn't make you look like a good person, or maybe you want them to tell you how you should start treating your spouse or your significant other, or maybe you're looking for someone to give you positive attention or give you attention because you are not kindly talking about your partner. And sometimes people just do it for attention, unfortunately. And when you're seeking outside people from your relationship, it's a really big indication that you have an unhealthy relationship and you have absolutely no respect for your partner. When you respect someone, you are holding them in high regard through your actions, through your behaviors, and through your words. It can be sometimes a struggle if you're having some issues in your relationship. And that's okay. All romantic relationships, they take a lot of hard work. And healthy relationships just take a little bit more work because You two are deciding, you two are choosing to be in this relationship. And so being respectful and showing respect through your actions and behaviors, through your words, really is about honoring your relationship as well. Another thing that we can really start focusing more on is how you communicate with your partner. Strengthen your communication level. Sometimes the way we communicate to our partner isn't always dictated by our words. The way our actions communicate to our partner, how much we respect them or how much we don't respect them. A good example of this is a friend of mine had shared with me. This is quite a few years ago. I have somewhat of a decent memory. I can remember a lot of things, little factoids and moments that people shared with me. But letting me know that he was driving in a car with his girlfriend and telling me, he's like, yeah, she'll be talking to me, and, for me, so I won't have to pay attention to what she's saying, I'll turn up the volume of the music that I'm playing. And I just thought, wow, that's incredibly disrespectful, because first of all, you chose to be in a relationship with this person. And if you are showing little signs of disrespect like that, she's going to end up showing you the same. And your relationship won't be a healthy one. And I just remember thinking that, like, being in a relationship with someone I respect, I couldn't do that. I'm the type of person that with my partner, my partner now, I make it an effort to, when we are talking with one another, if we're in the car, if we're at a restaurant, anything like that, I make it a habit. If I listening to music, I will turn down the volume of the music I'm listening to, because he's talking to me, and I try to be engaged, and I make eye contact with him so he knows that I'm paying attention to the things he's saying. I want him to know, like, I tend to put my phone down and just all my focus is on him, and I make eye contact with him, and I send him like little signals of body language, letting him know that I'm listening and I'm paying attention, and I engage in conversation with him, because again, I want him to know that I'm engaged. I respect with what he has to say, and I want him to know that he has my full focus during those moments that we are communicating, especially the moments that there's serious conversations, especially with moments that we're being loving and having talks of, maybe our passions or maybe philosophical. We have different levels of what we can talk about. And it's really fun because we can talk about almost every subject at any given time. And what's really cool about our communication style is that we can jump from topic to topic and come back full circle, and we know exactly where we picked up from. So learning to communicate very well is a way to show respect to your partner. And I actually have this one way that will be able to tell, or you're going to learn how to communicate effectively well, is through text messages. Because, when you read a text message, one person can mean it one way and the person who's reading it can interpret it another way. So try that exercise. Just go like a couple weeks, if not a couple months, or just try to communicate via text. And you're going to learn how to communicate very well, because you're going to be thoughtful in what you say. And you're going to think about, like, if I typed this and they read it that way, how can that be interpreted positively or negatively? And you're going to find that the way you communicate will be effectively better over time when you just do that exercise. So I would recommend you try that exercise with your significant other and see how it goes. And again, our level of communication is very positive, uplifting, very effective. And if there's some type of miscommunication, you can talk about it in person. Don't allow your negative emotions to say, well, they said it this way, without verbally communicating with them in person. So try that exercise by just communicating via text, and you're going to see exactly how well you communicate. Another way to show respect to your partner is taking responsibility for your own actions. We're very used to making you comments. Start making I comments. We had experienced X, and I felt this way because, so just taking out, instead of doing the blame game and blaming them for everything and blaming them for, how you're feeling, or making you comments, and really taking a step back and start making eye contact, like, hey, this had happened and therefore I felt this way because. Again, when you learn to take responsibility for, how you're feeling. Now, sometimes they will say something that might be hurtful, and it is okay if that happens, but as long as you communicate it effectively in a respectful manner, it won't cause resentment and it won't cause fighting. I mean, it's okay to have arguments and disagreements. That's okay, but it's the way you have those arguments and it's the way you have those disagreements and how you're communicating really will indicate the level of respect that you have for one another. Now, if you, for whatever reason, now going back to taking responsibility for your actions, if for whatever reason, you had told your partner that, hey, I was going to take you shopping for this, or for whatever reason, it could be, whatever it may be, and you forget, or you just didn't want to go, or maybe they needed to go someplace at a specific time and you ended up showing up late. Like, instead of, they may get mad at you and they may get upset with you and they may make you comments. If you take that moment just to say, I apologize, I am sorry, and I will be accountable for my actions, is really, again, it shows your partner respect. It shows your partner that you care. Saying sorry and saying I'm sorry are completely different. They feel different, especially when you say it to your partner. Being accountable for your own actions and not blaming others, especially in your relationship, is another level of how you're showing respect to your partner. And I think that we sometimes forget that sometimes we are human and it's easier to blame other people, or it's easier to blame our spouse for something, or it's easy to get mad at our spouse or significant other or life partner for something, versus us taking accountability and us taking responsibility for our actions. And I think that shows growth, that shows being humble, and it shows your partner that you respect your relationship. And I think that when you consistently show your partner respect in the relationship, it doesn't feel like it's work all the time. A healthy relationship is a choice. A healthy relationship does take two people working together equally, putting in 100% effort to make the relationship work and to make the relationship last, and showing respect and being honest and being accountable and building trust. All of those things really shows your partner that you honor them, that you love them, and that you respect them. So I hope you took some insight on this episode of respect. And, if you have been having issues with your relationship for some time, go back and talk about respect. Have a full conversation around respect and what your expectations are, what their expectations are, and what your boundaries are for each other. Have that conversation. And it doesn't matter if it's a new relationship or a relationship that's been around for years. If you feel as if your relationship has been suffering for a long time and there's deep resentment, be willing to open up that conversation and talk about respect. So I like to end my podcast episodes with a quote, and one is by Bryant McGill. Love and respect changes everything. Thank you for listening, and as always, yours truly, the Romantic Cynic.